Aloha kako, what is up everyone? Welcome to my channel if this is your first time stopping by, or welcome back if you've already taken time to subscribe. I appreciate you for being here, joining me at the table of truth as I open up space for divine truth to pour in whatever way is meant to be seen, spoken, and shared. It has definitely been an interesting 24 to 48 hours, I must say. And I've actually recorded a couple videos, but Divine said, scrap them. This message may only be for you in this moment, and it needs to sit with you in stillness, in reflection. So I had a little bit of that time in the darkness. And we have to recognize the balance between our physical realm and existence into our ancestral and spiritual, into the cycle of rebirth and elevation, into our higher, wiser, divine selves. But the only way we can do that is through stillness, meditation of mind, freeing the mind of the mental incarceration that we sometimes subject ourselves to, because we are surrounded by po, by night, by darkness. But in the darkness, there is so much knowledge to behold, wisdom to obtain. What is your path? What is your vibe? Let's affirm patience, love, compassion, healing, wellness, mindfulness, courage, resilience, fairness, grounding, overall healing for the spiritual evolution of self, for you, peace and harmony. All right, so I just want to start off by saying yesterday was very, very interesting with the energies that were coming in to my space. Now, I believe I've briefly mentioned it in a video at some point, but I recently had this conversation with a family member, and I was mentioning how I feel like the characteristics that identify clairsentience is, to me, one of my defining gifts received from divine. We have to own who we are, and I feel like a hesitation to open up or even speak on it because of the projection of collective energy, frequency, spirit, essence that can oftentimes come in when you have the portal spaces open. But this is a safe, faithful, guided, protected space, held safely and securely in the palms of the Most High. Believing who you are and the gifts and the abilities and the healing properties, the light emissions that come from you, from your spirit, is gifted when we are born, when we are in our infantile stages and end up in this realm, this physical space that we occupy now. If you're hearing and listening to me, then you're most likely in the physical flesh body. But life, I keep pulling this card because life goes through cycles, seasons of perpetual motion, growth. Where is this journey taking us? Where are these wheels turning to lead us? These are the questions we must ask when we find ourselves absorbing energies that may not be ours. And it's important to discern and decipher self from a projection of the lesson. So for me, yesterday was super intense because normally it's just like a mood change or shift where I feel something within speaking from someone else's perspectives, being able to hear, see, and then feel what energies and frequencies are around in this almost like plasmic spiritual realm. It's thick. We are maneuvering our way through this warped reality. I feel like a lot of us are coming out of a rest period or hermit stage or tower moments or whatever, rebirths and 10 of Swords. Just like a lot of internal work has to be done, is continuing to be done, is encouraged for you to do, because there's something very special about your abilities and yourself. And if you're resonating with this message, let it be. If not, let it go. But if you are someone who feels connected to the nervous system of the collective, and remember, the nerves are responsible for our reactions and our responses and give us the ability to have sensation, connection with everything and everyone around us. And for me, I feel almost a karmic debt within my life path where I am subject to a lot of bombardment of energies. And yesterday when I was reflecting on this and these feelings of anxiety and very, very dense areas of fear and worry and uncertainty and lack of confidence and whatnot, it wasn't necessarily fully me. But if we look deep enough in ourselves, we can find that energy hiding within us in certain spaces, certain chakras. So even if it's not you now, maybe this can be for the future you, or a lesson for the past you, whatever the case may be. This message needs to be heard. That when we are connected to the nervous system, the system where we can feel, if this person projects the energy to this person, then that person projects it to this, and then we're connected and it jolts into you. Your ability, and maybe I'm just speaking to self, but maybe I'm also speaking to you watching. Maybe you too feel this way. But it jolts you. It strikes you like a lightning bolt. This embodiment of someone else's essence and someone else's perspective and someone else's output into the universe. You receive it, but your job is to connect that lower to higher self and gain the ability and the patience to transmute this energy into lesson form. You are the teacher. You are the guide. You are the lighthouse on the shore. And one of the revelations I had yesterday was, as I was struggling with this embodiment of emotion, feeling, anxiety and nervous, like literally, for me, I don't experience this. I haven't experienced this, but maybe a few times throughout the span of my life. But when these embodiments kind of jump into you, you struggle with that emotional and that logical side of self. And as I was analyzing and breathing through this download, this clairsentient download, I was kind of transcribing the message in a way that made me realize this is a stormy season. We have elements of sea and we have elements of land within us. So maybe I'm speaking to my earth, water elements, folks that have predominance and struggle between those elements. And I saw in my mind's eye yesterday that where the sea meets the land is where you are. That is the core center of you in this karmic life path. When you look at the shore, it's rough, it's beaten, but it's beautiful. It's breathtaking. There's a sensuality, a dance that occurs between the sea and the land. And that is where you are. That is where you were born. That is where you stand. That is where you fight. That is who you are. You take the cracks. You take the fucking swells. You take the high tide. You take the full force of the hurricane, of the storms. And you stand strong like the lighthouse that guides ships in, that guides the lost to shore. You hold it down for those in the back, the maunas, the hills, the valleys, the canyons, the rivers, whatever other part of the collective landmass there is. You're the front line, you're the shore, you face the sea, and you take whatever lessons, whatever fire is coming in. Fire waves, I should have said. Yeah. And I feel like that's what we are experiencing in this current path chapter of our lives right now, where we're really centering ourselves and looking from the past to the present to the future, and from the future to beyond. You're really coming to terms with your role right now. All right, so let me just jump in and see, who is this message for? Let's clear this deck first. I feel like this is for a specific set of souls. Aries. Aries in your chart, card number 13. Rebirth, death. Aries is that fire, passion. Mars, planetary alignment in your natal chart. Predominance of Aries energy. I mean, we just got out of Aries, transitioned into Taurus season with the partial solar eclipse. So this is the pathway that we're on. And then we have lunar eclipse. This is change. This is the shift, the phases that we're going through with our desires, our passions, our inspirations, our focuses, our mental clarity. I'm seeing like lava, like Pele, where the land meets the sea. When the volcano, when the lava flows into the ocean, Kai, where that water and that lava, that fire, that passion, that heat, those shadows, when they meet, it cools and forms new land. That's where the shore is or becomes. And the shoreline is always changing. Things have to be pummeled and crumbled and washed out to sea, washed away, cleansed, in order for change to come about. The shoreline is always changing, shifting, being influenced by the moon, being influenced by the relationship with the moon and its influence on the water, on the patterns of tide, and how that changes and shifts and creates you, the shoreline, the coast. So maybe I'm hearing mermaid, I'm hearing as a child you may have really been intrigued, mesmerized, enchanted by mystic stories, legends, myths, folklore, ancestral stories, mo'olelo. You may have been intrigued by the elements, the energies that were contained in the stories about sea creatures and, sea monsters and all kinds of different, what some might say, imaginary figures, things you only dream about. And you might have also equally been as intrigued by those legends of mythological creatures on land, in the forest, the enchanted forests, perhaps. You may have been into like fairies and gnomes, dragons, and just Bigfoot, Loch Ness. Like all these stories fascinated you with the beyond, the things you dream about. We got this again. So, who are you? You are the gardener, that earth keeper. Weed out negativity and toxic thoughts to clear the way for the new growth that is sure to come if you add habits that heal to your life. Yes, that is the change that we're going through, that change of season. Maybe all the weeds had to be burned out, the shadows, that fire energy that wasn't conducive, but still helped us grow. We had to burn out the weeds, change our approach to healing, so that we can start sowing the seeds and reaping the benefits of that inner garden healing, that inner soul healing. Letting things bloom again, liven up your reality, your mindset, your darkness. Let the plants and the flowers grow along the shore. Let the trees blossom and sway in a gentle breeze. You know, we go through our storms where there's tumultuous waves just pummeling on the rocks and on the beaches. And it changes the landscape, it changes the shoreline, it changes you, who you are. But that season of change only gives way to more growth, more healing, more beauty to come out of this space. Let's see what else Divine needs to speak to us about ourselves. Yeah. Did I not tell you that water and that earth energy and being drawn to mermaids and sea creatures? This is the mermaid card, card number 4. Maybe that's a life path number for you. The mermaid, look below the surface of your emotional reactions to know what is really going on, for things are not always what they may seem. So this is real deep dive, introspection, reflection, connecting with truth at the bottom of the sea. Because, like it said, below the surface of your emotional reactions, below the lava, the heat, right? Below, when an island is created, it's created from the underground volcanic activity that contributes to the birth of the islands. So that lava, that fire, that emotion, that passionate emotion that you sometimes contain or hold within, you got to dive deep into that to see the true nature of self. So that takes a lot of reflection, like you see the mermaid sitting on the rock, possibly admiring the beauty of the sea and the animals in it, or maybe thinking about her siren's mission, perhaps. The sensuality. Dive deep into that. Dive deep into core sacral space. Maybe this is a time to heal your sacral chakra. There's blockage in the womb space, in the pelvic area. There's congestion, and we want to release. Let it flow. Let your wisdom, your matronly wisdom, your divine feminine healing, let that speak. And even for the masculines, your mature, experienced perspectives and viewpoints are respected. This is you rising up and into that that Hierophant energy. Let's get a tarot. This is the Mermaid Tarot. Oh, I feel like I can just go on tangents and get kind of lost in the message, which is what I'm looking at. Those tower moments. This devil card and the tower moments is showing you things need to crumble. This is the space that you are from. This is your life and what it's been. The energy of it has been destructive and desperate, oppressed, depressed. You know, it's been a struggle. There's been conflict. Relationships have not been fulfilling. But it's like Divine is telling us, we need to come from this space through our wisdom as the sage, from the dive into our innermost spaces, innermost emotional spaces. We come back up to surface as a matured divine self. That is your higher self. Literally clearing. Mahalo, 2 Pentacles. Yeah, look at that. The Moon card and the Empress card. It's like You've been cast to sea with your emotions, and it's been rough, these waters. You're close to shore, but you've been pulled more into the ocean space. There's things that are releasing and getting washed out, and you're going through this very shifting, changing emotional experience, perhaps. And it's causing you to better self, to nurture and mother self in a way that you can then expand and project and emit into the collective, instead of taking all the energy, taking all the anxieties, taking all the problems and the fire, and just letting that be what you regurgitate out. You're the guide, the lighthouse, the one that fiercely defends the light. That is you. So this is a processing of the emotions. This isn't a taking it on and being like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a panic attack or anxiety attack or whatever the case may be. Well, that's a little much, Spirit, a little much. I feel like it's time to close up. Spirit is just calling me to stop, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. So speaking on the emotional aspect, knowing where you are, knowing who you are. Clarity, truth. So this is falling on this change energy. 6 of Swords with the Aries energy of reaction, response, fire, passion, ignition, motivation. But it's motivating our change. So no matter what we take what we've been through and we utilize it to the best of our ability. And we let that move us through these changes into a position of really being able to plant seeds of growth and healing. Diving into ourselves with this Mermaid card. Diving into our truths, our emotional instabilities, our mental health, whatever the case may be. Looking deep into those shadowy underwater caves and shining light in the darkness to expose whatever needs to come out. That is how we become wise, more mature in our life. Sitting with our emotions, transmuting these emotions, healing from these emotions so that we can rise in our abilities to nurture, devote love and kindness and compassion to not only ourselves, but when we do that for ourselves, that becomes the aura that we emit. Let's see what these cards are. Wow. Changing direction. It's like you've been anchored at sea for so long in your previous situations, because that previous is really strongly caught in a current and getting washed out to sea. That past energy is presently becoming, you're still kind of getting out of the current state of staying stuck in one position. This is telling you, no, it's time. The wheels need to change. The sails need to go up. And we need to get motherfucking moving. We need to get voyaging. Finding our place. Finding our destiny. Finding our purpose in life. I'm seeing this because this is Pele. Goddess of lava. Fire goddess. When we were talking about that lava. This is cooling the fire to me. The passion. Cooling that fire and building, growing more land on your shores. It's like you definitely have that water earth battle between journeying on and, because this was in reverse, kind of being scared to move on, being stuck, not being inspired to see what else is out there, or to find your own passions and creativity and endeavors and goals and hobbies, and find yourself, your own identity. You're kind of battling perhaps between these two. Yeah, because we have, you're giving up in a sense on I don't feel like you're giving up. I feel like these changes are bringing about new endeavors and new goals with this Queen of Wands reversed. I'm feeling like what you were inspired by and what you were doing and your routine before no longer applies. It's time to really find where you want to go. And that's also causing a little bit of uncertainty about your financial pursuits, endeavors, safety. You're really moving forward to get out of that situation where you were drowning, washed up on shore, literally washed up, suffering, caged, trapped. We're freeing ourselves. Free yourself of that energy. It doesn't serve you. It holds you back and it causes death. So we want this energy that just flowed right now, this lightning bolt that I felt yesterday. That's what I embodied, and this is how I translated it. But take what resonates. What resonates, let it be, and what doesn't, let it go. But I'm definitely feeling like someone is going through a very turbulent balancing. It's kind of like when you're on a roller board, or what do they call those? Hoverboard, seesaw, whatever, right? Whatever you need to have balancing abilities, basically. There's sometimes those moments where you give up or you doubt yourself, and fear sets in, and that causes your nerves to shake, and then you're like, oh, I think I'm gonna fall, right? And you're like struggling to regain your balance before you fall, because the fear of falling is failure. Failure to be able to handle the scales, be able to balance your moods, your desires, your abundances, your receipt or reception of divine messages. Sometimes it throws us off, pulls us out to sea, or crushes us onto land. We got to hold firm and know our place and be rooted and be strong to not have so much erosion occurring in our life. So we're definitely wanting to flip this around. We're freeing ourselves from the trap of what life has been. I'm going to go ahead and get, what am I making? Something quick and easy to read. So I'm just going to grab the Isis Oracle or Guidance deck. And then we're going to get a last message to be shared. Okay, last message. Any clarity or truth to be seen? Mahalo. Yeah, wow. Last message for this dive into truth seeking. We have life restored. This is that scarab Egyptian beetle. Spiritual resurrection is gifted to you now. This is why we're going through this. This is why we're embodying these feelings, so we can decipher them and heal from the lesson. But spiritual resurrection is gifted to you now. Whatever part of you or your life you thought to be dead is being revived and will flourish back into life, just as the phoenix rises from the fire, transitioning from death into life. So too will you rise again, healed and renewed. And that's where we got this. Freeing ourselves so that we can be healed by the newfound wisdom. And the second card, we got Rising Sun. A dark phase and struggle is over. A new phase is upon you, one of hope, glory, light, and triumph. It is won through boldness and persistence. You have been through much, and now victory is upon you, beloved. For the divine solar child, a new consciousness within you is born. Mahalo, divine. Mahalo, Akua, for this message. It definitely was needed for self. And I know because I transmuted this energy, it's needed for sure for someone who's been going through the weight of these waves. But know That when you change your mindset, when you change your patterns of thought, when you change your course, or when you change the direction you're going in the maze of your mind, it opens up new pathways, new journeys, new voyages, new destinations, new resolutions, new vacation spots. You know, it opens up exploration for newness. Okay. Yeah. So this rising sun is the new dawn, is the warmth of the sun on your skin, but it's the realization that the sun feeding you life, feeding you power, is feeding that light within you. Because the same light that you see and that you receive is the same light that you give. That divine source of energy is in you. And you will rise from whatever storms. It's like that stormy shoreline has turned into a beautiful beach. Black sand beach, palm trees, beautiful forest behind it. You are seeing the beauty that destruction births. That destructive beauty, perhaps. It's like all the cracks that the shore received from the ocean waves over time. Constant pummeling of waves, tides, storms. It's like that has evolved. You have risen. You have become a beautiful black sand beach. And not very accessible from outside sources or people. So your sand is pristine. Your beauty is unmatched. You are a healed space of nature and nurture. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and was able to get or be open to receiving this truth. I appreciate you for being here and trust that Divine continues to gift you with more abundance, more protection, more healing, more wellness, more prosperity, more love, and more life for today and the days to come forevermore. I will see you in my next video, and with love, light, and always aloha.